Hey YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. This is Megan, and this is take 2. So I posted a video called Toxic Pagans because that's what the question asker put in the question. So Hellcat0009, the question was Avoiding Toxic Pagans. So that's the title that was used, and it got a lot of attention. This was a video that just people wanted to comment about, and the majority of the comments were actually pretty positive. So if I look at the statistics for the video, about 2/3 of everybody liked the video a lot, and about 1/3 didn't like the video. So it was really polarized, where it was you either loved it or you hated it. And then there was a couple of people in between, but for the most part, it seemed to be something that people resonated with, and there was something that struck a chord with them. And so, you know, I've got some of those comments, and I'm going to call those people out. Not in a bad way calling out, but I'm going to mention the people who left some really amazing comments, because I feel like because I'm taking down the other video, I want to make sure that they get acknowledgement for some of the really insightful and great things that they had to say. So I'll talk about that a little bit. So what I decided to do instead of just kind of making a whole new video, I wanted to just give a brief synopsis of what the general points were that I was talking about, because I stand by those points. I stand by, you know, my intended message for that video. I think it's important. And I also wanted to address something else that I noticed is a big problem. And it's something that I think is important to acknowledge for people in general, and not just for the pagan community. So a couple of things I have to get to in this video. So the first is, what is my intended message when I talk about toxic pagans? And the first thing that I need to talk about is our right as human beings, in particular as women right now. Many of you know there is a hashtag going out called Yes All Women, and it is important, it is imperative that we are empowered as women to say no. It is such a shame, and it is so horrible that we're taught to protect our drink instead of being taught not to drug people. It is so sad that women are taught to give fake phone numbers instead of saying no to a guy, for fear of saying no to a guy. And I get really worked up about that issue, because I have seen this over the years. I am in my 30s. I have been in the pagan community a very long time, and I have been active in the pagan community, in my community, for a very long time. So fairs, festivals, I mean, you name it, I am out there. And so that means, unfortunately, I see a lot. And one poster, this is a great moment to bring this poster up, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, and I am so sorry. Ridicule, I think, Rendilkrasen. Ridicule. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it at least somewhat right. But what this poster talked about was, I'm going to quote, "I truly enjoy the 99.9% of the time I get to be the fuzzy, funny bear and bask in the wonders of nature, the harmonies of the universal dynamics, and the love of fellow travelers and spirits. For that other tiny fraction of the time, well, that's the reason bear also has claws, eh?" And it's so, so true. And the other thing that this poster also wrote is saying, "I think it's a good sign that so many people in the comments have clearly never had to deal with one of the aggressive, creepy ones, eh? Maybe it's a better world, and perhaps your warning will someday allow them to make the distinction in time before they've had a bad experience with one." I think that's so right on, and I have to just give you props. I love that comment, and that's really what it's about, and hopefully that is the direction it's going. I unfortunately have seen way too many of fellow pagans getting taken advantage of and hurt because they said no, and because they didn't want to tell somebody to walk away or tell somebody to get away from them. And women in particular, and I'm not saying just women, this is for everybody, but if we're focusing on women here, we get vibes, we feel things. You get that gut feeling when you know something is not okay. The problem is we're taught not to focus on that. We're taught to ignore that. We're taught to say, oh, well, you know, maybe we should just keep standing here and keep putting ourselves through this because, well, you know, we're supposed to. We're supposed to be kind and sweet and meek and all of that. And you know what? I say to hell with that. I really do. And this is where I get upset because I feel that we need to empower pagans, women, any minority. We need to empower them to say no because it's okay. We need to stand up for them. If we see somebody saying no to somebody, we go and we help them. It's okay to walk away from somebody. It's okay to get a bad feeling about somebody. There is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. And I think what happens is we get this idea in our heads that we're supposed to be these all-accepting, open, love and light people, and generally we are. That doesn't mean we're not human beings, and that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be negative influences in our culture that we want to stay away from. And it's okay to say no. It is okay. And it doesn't matter why. And that's the important thing. I don't care why you're saying no. If it's just a rumbly in your tumbly and you feel like, you know what, this person's giving me the wrong vibe and I need to back away. And so I'm going to say, you know what, my friend needs me over here. Or, you know what, I'm just not feeling us right now. I'm going to walk away. That's okay to do. You are allowed to do that. That is your right. It is your right to keep yourself safe and to say no and to not be hurt because of that. And I champion that. I champion it and I back people up. Everyone at fairs and festivals know that if they're having a problem, they can call me over and I will help them out. And maybe it'll be a super calm, easy way to get out. And maybe we'll have to call security like the previous poster is talking about. And maybe it'll have to be a bigger issue. In the end, though, I want to keep that person safe. And I want to empower them to say no because I never want someone to feel scared to say no. That is the worst feeling you could ever have. So, that being said, okay, so now we've got the other side of the coin, all right? And that is we have an interesting situation going on in America of pseudo-psychology. Now, how many of you have taken one of those Facebook online, like, what's your personality type? And, you know, what color are you? Or, you know, what historical person were you in a past life? Whatever that might be, right? All those little pseudo-psychology tests. Those aren't real psychology tests, people. They're not real. Most of you probably know this, but some people think that they are based in psychology, and they're not. They're not based in psychology. And one of the problems is a lot of true diagnoses, their titles, their labels have been passed around through the general public to the point where now they've become lay terms. When there's a very big difference, this is an example, between somebody saying, I'm depressed, okay, and somebody having major depression, okay? It is very, very different. So I do not say to somebody, you look depressed. If they're like looking really bad, stuff like that, I'll say, wow, you look like you're feeling a little blue today, because that's the clinical term for it. Major depression is a clinical diagnosis that only a therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist someone professional can give you. You cannot diagnose yourself with major depression, social anxiety, any of those things. You can't do it. You can't. You can look up on WebMD, you can look in the DSM-4, but you're not trained in order to do it. You have a degree, you are a therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, then sure, great, go ahead. You're not supposed to diagnose yourself, but, go ahead. A lot of people will claim they have social awkwardness, social anxieties, things like that, and unfortunately, they actually don't have them. So this is where we run into a problem. So people will sometimes use these terms as an excuse when they want to be mean to somebody else. Okay? And that's not okay. There's never an excuse to be mean to somebody else. And most of the time, people who claim that they have social awkwardness or social anxieties, they don't actually have it. There was one lady who came up to me at a festival. We're sitting there, we're chatting, we're having a great conversation. And all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, I need to leave. I have social awkwardness," or "I'm socially awkward." And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not at all. You've had a perfectly pleasant conversation with me. We've been communicating, and that's cool that you want to leave. No problem. But you're not socially awkward. You have social skills. You might not be the super charmer that somebody else might be. You might not be a master of social skills, but you're not clinically socially awkward. And she was kind of taken aback. She's like, "I've always been told I've been that way." I'm like, well, you weren't told by somebody who knows what they're talking about. And she was really taken aback. And luckily, she was very pleased by this. I've heard other people say that they get really upset if you try and tell them that they're not awkward. And I don't get that. I don't understand that, because I would think people would want to not be. I think that's the problem, though, is that it's become kind of the cool thing, the in thing, to have these problems or to label yourself with these problems. And for the people who truly do struggle with these things, it's kind of hurtful. Now, if you were to see somebody with true clinical social awkwardness, true Asperger's, true crippling social anxiety, you really would be surprised. They don't look anything like the people who will run around fairs or festivals claiming that they're socially awkward. They don't look like that. They're much, much, much more severe. And it is true clinical disability. Okay? The people that run around fairs and festivals and use an excuse, whether it be they're saying they're socially awkward, maybe they're saying they're a geek, maybe they're saying they're, I don't know, a fairy. I mean, they could be saying anything they want. I love it when people call themselves different things at fairs. I think it's fun. And I always use whatever pronoun, whatever they want me to use, I will use that as a term of respect. The only time that stops is when they start being mean. So what we're talking about here is being intentionally cruel to other people. That is what toxic is all about. When you, not you, but when a person goes to a fair or festival with the intention to be mean to other people, whatever excuse they might use, maybe they're saying they have a bad day, maybe they're saying they just got dumped, maybe they're saying they just got yelled at in the car, maybe that's their excuse. It could be they're saying I'm socially awkward. It could be they're saying this is the way I was brought up. Okay, I've heard that one a lot. I've heard that people say, well, I was brought up this way. I was brought up that, you just tell people like it is, and that's the way that you operate. And if you don't like it, you have to deal with it. Okay, you might have been brought up that way. You might have been brought up to say to somebody, wow, you look really fat today. But it's not very nice, and it's intentionally cruel. And so this is an example I've actually experienced. And so I said to the person, wow, that was really mean. And the person went, well, that's how I was brought up. Okay, that's great that you were brought up that way. Woohoo, go for you. But still doesn't give you the right to be mean to somebody. Doesn't give you the right to be mean to my friend. So apologize. The person was all like, I'm not going to apologize, and refused to apologize. It refused to acknowledge that he was being mean and being intentionally cruel, and he walked away. I was like, okay, well, if you're not going to apologize, then I guess we don't want to talk to you. And that's what I'm talking about. So those are the toxic people that I think that we need to make sure we avoid and that we protect each other from. Anyone who is being intentionally cruel, whatever the reason might be, okay? Whatever the reason might be why they're being intentionally cruel, or whatever excuse that they give for being intentionally cruel. There is no excuse. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care what the excuse is. There is no excuse to be intentionally cruel to another person. No excuse. So I want to encourage people to know that it's okay to say no. It's okay to stand up. It's okay to not be someone's friend. It's okay. Now, I'm sure I'll probably get more comments saying that, well, you should give people the benefit of that out and that and that. Well, these are all the shoulds. And you know what? We can should all over ourselves if we're not careful. In the end, what we have to do is just be nice to one another. Okay? I'm not saying that someone walks up to you and you go, bitch, and you walk away. No, of course not. But if you're sitting there talking to someone and you're getting a real rumbly in your tumbly that this is not okay, that there is something off, and you feel like you want to leave, I don't want you to think that you have to stay there just to give someone the benefit of the doubt, or just to, cater to them, or whatever their reasoning might be. I don't want you to do that. If you feel like you need to leave a situation, I want you to feel that it's okay to leave that situation. It's okay to say no. It is always okay to say no. And yes, all women. And that's what I really wanted to say. So I love some of the other posters, and I mentioned I was going to give them a shout out, not a call out. But some of the amazing posters were people like Kate Freeman. Kate merely wrote, I like you. Drago Mahir. Oh, I'm so not pronouncing that right. Drow Mahai. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, Drow wrote, thank you for this. So thank you. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. I also think that Patrick Pentacles wrote a great message saying, first time I'd seen this channel and a perfect one to watch. Total nail on the head. White light and blessings to you as well. I also think that Thaco the Goblin wrote something really, really great. Thaco quoted me, and one of the things I said was, it was a long bit, but at the end it says, you don't have the right to treat people in a cruel way. And Thaco went on to say that absolutely, that if you want to be special, then do something extraordinary. And I think that that was really, really on the mark. I really appreciated Jer McBrigid. So I think it's Jer or J. Oh, see, I'm so not good at these. But I really liked what the comments that he or she left. I think it's she. And I really appreciate them, and I hope you don't stop making videos. I really don't. I think we need people like you. So, also, Seeker from AUS, maybe, and Eric Atwood, and Raven the Vlogger. You guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for your comments. I really appreciated them, and I think that hopefully this will take the place of the previous video, and I probably won't rant anymore. Probably won't do any more rant videos. I was trying something new. I think it's important that we try things that are different and new. Most of the time I do very scripted, thought out, planned videos, and sometimes I feel like they can get a little bit boring. I don't know about you. So I wanted to try something a little different, especially because I feel very passionate about this topic. We have a lot of things right now in our country going on that really rouse me up. And I get really, really frustrated, especially with patriarchy and the issues around people bashing feminism and bashing gay rights. And as a gay woman, I feel that being able to be empowered to say no is one of the most important things that we can do in our culture right now. We are being brought up in a toxic environment, whether we're talking about the horrible patriarchy, rape culture, all of that. It's toxic. That's what's truly toxic, is our young girls being taught that it's not okay to say no, that they're being taught how to avoid rape instead of these young people being taught not to rape. It gets me, and I get fired up about it, and that's my pagan perspective on it. And not everyone's going to agree, and that's okay. And I like that not everybody agrees. I like that we have different opinions, and I think that that's awesome. And I wanted to make this video because I felt like I wanted to expand a little bit on part of what I had to say before, because I feel that while it was a longer video, I actually didn't get across all of the things I wanted to say because I was trying to keep it short, ironically. So hopefully I was able to get more across in this video, and hopefully you will feel more empowered in your community, and you will get out there and just trust your gut. And it's okay to walk away. It's okay to say no. It's okay to not be somebody's friend. It's okay. It's just not okay to be intentionally cruel to somebody else. That's it. Just don't be mean. Be awesome to one another. And trust your gut. That's it for today, guys. Blessed be.